And welcome back to the Spindown. I'm your host, Spindown, and with me is my co-host, Kai Guy, and we're here to talk to you about Magic news. And we've got a lot to talk about today, don't we, Kyle?
That's right. But before we get started, we would like to ask you to like this video and subscribe if you haven't. And
smash that like button.
Smash that like button. That's right. Like we're going to smash all of the tasty tidbits that dropped today. Huge news in the world of Magic the Gathering.
So much.
Mainly regarding Zendikar Rising, the new set that's dropping here.
Yeah, we've got a lot of things happening in Zendikar Rising. Big kind of like set that's been really excited about for a while. Everyone's kind of wondering what's going to happen with Zendikar. Zendikar is definitely one of those big sets that everyone has loved for a long time, and so people have been really wondering, like, what's it going to be like when we return to Zendikar once more?
Right. I think the biggest question that we had were, what were the mechanics going to be? I think a lot of us had guessed, Landfall would be coming back, and
right. It did.
It did. It has returned. That's no surprise to us.
Nope.
We also thought that Landfall was going to be a returning mechanic. Seems pretty solid, and also seems pretty plain identity. So,
for sure.
But also with Landfall returning, we have another returning mechanic in Spiny Mouse. What is that returning?
That is Kicker, which is a mechanic where you can pay more when you first cast your spell, the Kicker cost, and your spell does something extra. Sometimes you get a bigger creature out of it, sometimes you get a creature with extra effects, sometimes your spell does more things. Kind of a almost generic mechanic, just you pay more, you get more, generally is what it is. So
yeah, it's very interesting seeing some of these mechanics fall on all types of cards. But we'll get to that a little bit later.
For sure.
So those are some returning mechanics, and for those of you who don't know what Landfall is, it's a mechanic where if you have a creature or something that has the Landfall mechanic in play and you play a land, you get an added bonus. It triggers, and something good typically happens. Mark Rosewater actually, I believe, has talked about this in some of his podcasts, and he was talking about how I think he was playtesting something, and people get really flustered with like mana flooding, and like there was a game he played once where he's like, oh man, like how can we turn that like downside into an upside?
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong, but anyways, and that's kind of, I think that's and then once they made the original Zendikar, I remember him talking about, he was so excited to, like, he's like, I just need to draw land to win. So it's not often that you're wishing that you had lands.
Indeed. Yeah, Landfall is a fun mechanic. So one of the new mechanics that we're getting is a special one that I'm really excited for. I don't know how powerful it's going to be, but I love the flavor of it, and that is the mechanic of party. The party mechanic, Kai Guy is partying. The party mechanic is actually a reference to Dungeons and Dragons, which we'll get into a little bit later.
Isn't that role-playing game?
That's that role-playing game, also owned by Wizards of the Coast.
Isn't that like, don't they have demons?
There are demons.
Isn't it evil?
Oh, very much so. Yep. If you play it, you will become a Satanist. And that's,
I don't want to become a Satanist.
No, definitely not. So the party mechanic.
We're anti-Satanists here on this channel.
Yeah.
Sorry, Satanists.
Sorry, all you Satanist fans out there. Totally against you. No, I jest. Actually, Satanists are great. Anyways, so the party mechanic involves having a party of creatures that you control. Of 4 differing types, and it kind of harkens back to original D&D, and those types are warrior, wizard, cleric, and rogue. And if you control all 4 of those, or some number of those, you're going to get extra effects on your card. So there's different creatures with that mechanic, different spells that can cost less with that mechanic on them. So really interesting. And those kind of classes of creatures are certainly pretty popular ones. We have tons of warriors, tons of wizards, tons of clerics, tons of rogues throughout Magic's history. So the question will be, is that a big enough payoff, or is there going to be a big enough payoff for those for that mechanic to do anything? And we'll see. But I do love the flavor. I have to say I love the flavor.
And that's a really good question. I think for standard, it's a little bit harder with the limited card pool.
For sure.
But I think because we are a modern focus channel, there could be some, you can dig pretty deep into the card pool, and there are a lot of wizards, so there's a lot
Yes.
of good class. I would say maybe rogues might be one of the weaker classes.
Yeah, that's probably true. Lots of fairy rogues, so maybe, maybe
Yeah,
we get some of that. But I think we're also
Raise
going
and
to
Borrow
continue
or
to get
anyone?
some. Yeah, I think we're going to continue to get support for those particular classes of creatures. So
Right.
excited to see where that goes.
I will say I was really hoping to see adventure make
Mm.
a return. I just thought it would fit like on flavor and
Oh,
on
for sure.
theme. But in lieu of them, there's just one more mechanic left to talk about, and in lieu of them not bringing back adventure, they decided to go with what they're calling modal DFCs.
Oof, oof,
Uh,
that's a mouthful.
it is quite the mouthful, and DFC stands for double faced cards. So, Caleb, why don't you talk a little bit about what that looks like and what that kind of means?
Yeah, so we've had double face cards before. These ones are a little bit different in that these double face cards, so the ones that we've seen so far, both sides are lands. And so we have
Or not to well,
right,
or they
yes,
could possibly be a spell that flips into a land, or
right,
it could be a
right, right.
spell or a
Yeah, I
land.
think we've seen one of those so far, where it's an instant and then also a land.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say. So those are really interesting to kind of look at in terms of balancing mana bases. Now you have spells that can also be lands, or lands that can also be spells. In terms of color fixing, you now have a land that can come into play as either type. Um, and we got quite a few of the types, quite a few of the different colors. So I don't know. There's some really interesting things there that you could potentially do, and I think it's going to be really interesting trying to balance mana bases with these new additions.
Yeah, so I think to kind of touch on the point of like the flip, like sorcery land, they're not
Right.
flip per se. They're not even transformed. They're just double
Right.
face cards. So you get a lot of agency in choosing. Oh, it's early game. Maybe I need this land, and this land comes and play tap. But maybe you pull it later in the late game, and you can cast it. I think that this is going to be huge, and depending on how much they push this technology, I don't know if this is just going to be like a Zendikar only thing moving forward. It really, and depending on what they decide to print, because the few sorcery land, instant land cards that we've seen so far, it's they've been kind of whatever in terms of power level. But I definitely think that you know moving forward, it's not a mechanic that should be underrated. Being able to kind of split the difference,
Yep.
super powerful.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that's kind of how people kind of originally rated some of the adventure cards. A lot of people were kind of down on the adventure cards, saying like, "Oh, these are just not powerful enough effects,"
yes,
which is just
absolutely.
fair, and I think is probably true of these lands and these
Right.
modal cards as well. But the fact is, you get a choice, and so that's powerful in Magic because
Mhm.
maybe you really needed that land, maybe you didn't need that land. Well, now you have a
Right.
choice. Like you could have been just flooding out, you could have been
Right.
left lands, and now all of a sudden you have this ability. So
Right.
deck building is going to be really interesting with these cards in play.
And speaking of that, yeah, the lands. So the new pathway lands. So we
Here,
it
let me pull
looks
those up for us right now.
yeah, so we have all sorts of dual colored lands that come into play untapped, and that is insanely powerful.
Yeah,
And the fact that you get to choose and the way they scale early and late game, oh my goodness. I think that these pathway lands are gonna like be new staples in modern decks.
I think so too.
Um,
I think so too.
100% you will want to be picking these up. So you got, you know, you have the Izzet land,
Hmm.
you've got the Boros land, Orzhov, Selesnya.
The one thing to
Um,
note about these is that they are not fetchable. They do come into
no,
play untapped, but they
and
cannot be fetched, which is
I think that
probably
that's
good.
yeah, I think that they absolutely needed to do that to kind of keep down on the power level. So
Agreed.
what did
Agreed.
oh, and then we have What is the blue green? Why am I blanking on that? They're yelling at me in the comments. What's blue green?
They are right now. Right now they're telling you how terrible. Simic?
And then you have the Rakdos land, and then whatever the blue green is.
Simic.
Oh, Simic, yeah.
Yeah.
It's destroying modern.
Yeah, right now.
We have these 6 to start, and I saw on Mark Rosewater's blogatog that the other 4 will be coming. Kes Wiley also pointed out over on Twitter that the other matched cards are kind of Innistrad colors, so
for sure
we might be seeing those down the way. But.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think they're definitely gonna fill this out, and I don't think it'll be too long before they do. Some other exciting news: we're getting some more expeditions. We had expeditions in our last Zendikar set, and we're getting them again now. And of course, they are land-based. So let me pull those up for us. This is just a smattering. There's quite a few actually.
Yeah, absolutely. This time they're getting the new, the expedition lands are gonna get the expedition treatment, but the frames are a little bit different. And I gotta say that I'm a big fan of what these frames look like. I like them maybe a little bit more than I like the first expedition lands. So these will be only appearing as box toppers or in collector's boosters.
Right.
If you get a box topper, they are going to be coming as a non-foil high glossy treatment card. We just retweeted what those will look like over on our Twitter page at High Ground MTG. And obviously the foils will be coming in collector's boosters. So it's nice that these aren't going to be as exclusionarily rare as the lottery cards. I think there was a lot of frustration with that the first go around.
For sure.
But like I said, we're gonna get now. It's like, I think they look gorgeous. I'm really excited about them.
Definitely.
And it's not just all 10 fetch lands. We're also getting fast lands. So far, only 2 have been spoiled, Copperline Gorge and Razorverge Thicket. So I'm assuming we might get the other 8. Cavern of Souls, also insanely gorgeous, by Sam Burley.
Ancient Tomb, Wasteland.
And we're seeing the first reprint of Prismatic Vista.
Which is definitely needing one.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is one of the Modern Horizons cards. So
right. Yeah, some interesting stuff there. So we'll see what those do to prices. We'll see what those do for people's collections. How many people open up collector's boosters? Who knows? Right. So.
And if you're a commander player, the Battle Bond lands will also be printed with with the new expedition treatment.
And we know how you commander players like to foil out your decks.
For me, I'm really excited. I'm hoping that these come to Moto as the previous expedition lands did. And if they do, for a fact that I will be dropping all of my current patch lands and upgrading to the new ones.
Of course.
Very, very slowly, but
yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's talk about some of the more exciting preview cards we've seen so far. These are kind of the big ones. Let's start off with our new blue mage, Jace.
Mirror Mage, that's right. 3 mana Jace.
3 mana Planeswalker.
Yep, 3 on a Planeswalker. That's something that should never not be looked at. 1 generic, 2 double blue. And it has one of the new, one of the returning mechanics, Kicker. So it's 4 starting loyalty, Kicker 2. When Jace Mirror Mage enters the battlefield, if Jace was kicked, create a token that's a copy of Jace Mirror Mage, except it's not legendary and its starting loyalty is 1. And you can +1 scry 2, or you can 0, draw a card, reveal it, remove a number of loyalty counters equal to the card's CMC from Jace Mirror Mage. I'm all about this card.
This card looks sweet.
Super hyped. Especially in Modern. I mean, think about it's just an insane amount of card advantage.
Oh yeah.
Early game, late game. We have a fan of the show who was talking about if you really build around it and you have like Mishra's Baubles and other 0 cost things, this could easily find its way into some kind of low costed artifact deck,
right. One thing, the great thing too, I mean, with the kicker mechanic, the big thing with the kicker mechanic is kicker cards are generally good early, and then they're also good late. Like that's kind of their big thing. And so, with this new Jace card, like you can play him on turn 3, and he's fine. Like he's great.
Scry 2.
Yeah,
and his starting loyalty is 4, so it's not going to die to bolt.
Right.
Immediately, and even if you zero it, it's still not going to die to bolt. And it's up to 5, and you're scrying 2, so you're kind of essentially like you're sort of drawing a card, but you're not. So I could see Jace being in a lot of control decks. I personally want to play and try Jace out in some kind of like blue moon shell, but we'll see. I always want to play in blue.
I was gonna say you always want to put something in blue moon.
Yeah.
All right. Next up,
a very, very, very fun card. So.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, we've got our green native to well, no, she's not native to Zendikar. She's native to Lorwyn, I think, technically. Nissa. Nissa of Shadowbow. Is she Zendikar?
Yeah, it's her home plane. That's why she's there.
For some reason, I was thinking she was originally from Lorwyn, but all right. Let us know down below, all of you angry commenters. Tell us how wrong we are.
Or kind commenters. So kind.
Yeah, you guys are fine. All right, so we got Nissa of Shadowed Bows. So
is it
Nissa
bows or is it bows? Also, watch Cobra Kai on Netflix. I'm not getting paid for this, but oh my gosh.
But so cool. If you wanted to pay us for that, we'll rep your show. I haven't watched it yet, but whatever.
I need to watch it. It's so good.
Probably so. All right, so we got Nissa of Shadowed Bows or Bows, however you're supposed to pronounce that word. So 4-mana Planeswalker.
How do you pronounce it? Leave your comments.
You spell it out for us. Landfall is on a Planeswalker for the very first time. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, put a loyalty counter on Nissa. That's huge. Like, doesn't matter anything else. That's huge right there. So, like in Modern, you play a fetch land, you crack it, you get another one. So now Nissa starts her loyalty, potentially at 6. Like if you have the ability to crack a fetch land. Right. So let's get into her ability. She's got 2 abilities: a +1, untap target land you control. You may have it become a 3/3 elemental creature with haste and menace until end of turn. It's still a land. I like that it does say may. So with some of the other Planeswalkers where you turn your creature or your lands into creatures, sometimes that can be bad because your opponent can just have a bolt sitting there and now you just stone range yourself.
That's a good point that I didn't see it on the first time. That may ability definitely makes a big difference.
For sure.
Like even just untapping. Yeah. That's
you can just untap a land and do nothing else, which is pretty powerful.
And black and green.
Yeah.
And we'll see why black comes into play next.
Yeah, for sure. So her -5 ability, which again, like if you play her on turn 5, and you have a fetch land, you can immediately do this. -5. You may put a creature card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control onto the battlefield from your hand or graveyard with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. So -5, put a creature from hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. And it's bigger now.
Equal to the number of lands you control.
Right, correct. So you do have to have a decent number of lands.
Right, 5 or 6 CMC.
Right, but I mean, like you're playing her on turn 4 anyways. Maybe you're ramping her out with other things.
Right.
But, I don't think she pairs well with like birds or nobles or anything like that because obviously you want more lands. So she's gonna be in a land heavy deck. But like this can get some big things. In Modern 4-mana creatures that make it into Modern are big and do crazy things.
The thing that really gets me too is the 2 +1/+1 counters. Like, I mean, that is really good. Just I was thinking about this card today, and I was like, oh man, like this feels like an insanely valuable card. Like just playing it fairly, like if you put it in like green black rock or like Jund, like
yep.
You imagine like getting back like a Tarmogoyf and it just automatically gets a couple counters on it, like
so just a bigger Tarmogoyf.
Yeah. or
Bloodbraid Elf.
Yeah, Bloodbraid Elf. I can't remember if it's the cast trigger, but
it's a cast trigger, so you don't get the cascade, but
but still,
you do get a hasty creature, so there's something.
Or even if you're putting it in, in Jun, and you're like just redoing Season Pyromancer, like
there's a lot of things you can do with here. This Nissa is gonna do big things. I'm excited to see
Nissa
what it
is built to like, that neg 5. If you can really get it going off, especially in a ramp, and like it's not too hard to conceive that like you could put it in some kind of like Sultai deck where you're ramping hero. We were just talking about this today. So like Nissa has like dipped also into blue, and so she is now like a full on like Sultai like Planeswalker. So very interesting.
All right, so Nissa is super powerful. Moving on, let's go to Nihiri Era of Ancients. You want to read this one, Kyle?
Sure. Nihiri Era of Ancients, 2 generic, red and white, 4 starting loyalty. You got a +1, create a 1/1 core warrior creature token. You may attach an equipment to it. Batter Skull. Look at the tops, or neg 2. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a warrior or equipment card from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any random order. And -3. Nihiri deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to twice the number of equipment you control. This one I had a hard time evaluating. I'm not sure how well it's going to do, especially in Modern, where the equipment is like meh. Like your best equipment is swords, but
so when go ahead.
I was like, the fact that they're referencing so much equipment makes me think that they're going to have more equipment. Shot call right now. I think they have an equipment into land card.
Could be. I think we've already had one of those. We haven't. Maybe I'm thinking something else. But so a lot of people that I've seen looking at this card are thinking the Colossus Hammer deck, which has kind of been like a fringe combo deck that people have tried. Because if you have Colossus Hammer, which is only 1 mana to cast, and then you put this down, you get to make a creature token and attach your hammer to it immediately, which, that means you're then attacking for 11.
Do you want to tell the viewers what hammer token is?
The Colossus Hammer. So Colossus Hammer, I'm going to pull it up right now. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Colossus Hammer is a 1 mana equipment. Equipped creature gets +10/+10 and loses flying because it's big, I guess. The equip cost is 8 generic mana, which is obviously a lot. You don't want to have to pay 8. The Colossus deck generally puts that onto its creatures for 1 mana using a variety of different options, but allows you to just kind of cheat that into play, and then they attack with things that have like Double Strike or Infect to insta-kill your opponent. So a lot of people have been saying like this is where you want to be with this deck, or with this Planeswalker. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if a 4 mana Planeswalker makes it into that shell, or if Nihiri just doesn't make it into anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. As far as Modern goes, it's very, very niche, and I don't see a lot of equipment decks.
No. Stoneforge has even like had a hard time getting ahead in Modern.
Yeah, trying to find a home for sure. All right, the one other card that we really, really want to talk about that got both Tiny Mouse and I incredibly like excited to play once it drops is Confounding Conundrum.
That's right.
That's right. You want to take this one?
Oh, do I ever? Okay, so Confounding Conundrum is a 2 mana enchantment, and it says, when Confounding Conundrum enters the battlefield, draw a card. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, if that player had another land enter the battlefield under their control this turn, they return a land they control to its owner's hand. So, this is amazing for many, many reasons. One of them being fetch land. So, let's say your opponent plays a fetch land. Whether you've got this down on the battlefield, your opponent tries to play a fetch land, they can now no longer crack that fetch land on their own turn. They have to wait until either your turn or their own turn, which is whatever.
If they want to keep their land.
If they don't want to have a land bounce their hand immediately.
Yeah.
The other things you can do with this, there's quite a few different things you can do with this. If you were to Field of Ruin someone on their own turn or Ghost Quarter someone on their own turn, especially during their upkeep, they don't get to make a land drop for their turn, or else it gets bounced back to their hand. Same thing goes for what are some other land shenanigans you can do with this.
Yeah, so I just want to talk about it. Like, the first part. First of all, it cycles itself. So there's no
That's right.
down. You're not like, and it's incredibly cheap at
Yeah,
2 mana.
2 mana.
So
2 mana.
tapping out turn 2 super early in the game, especially when people are playing fetch lands, that is not bad.
Not bad at
Also,
all.
so if you were to tap out and cast this and pass the turn, you could potentially have Force of Negation back up to like take a turn off to be able to play this in order to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And this is an incredibly tempo pot. Like, if you're on the side of casting it, it is an insane tempo play.
Yeah, for sure. Slows people down way slow.
It stacks too, which is insane.
Yeah.
That is what really like is absolutely ridiculous. So like, if you manage to get like 3 of these down and you like Field of Ruin one of your opponent's lands, like, and they have to search. There's especially with Field of Ruin, that's the thing. It's like when you make them search and they have to do it, like, then
though technically they can choose not to find a land, I think, still with Field of Ruin. They have to search
3 lands. Yeah, they'll lose. So like,
yeah.
It's pretty ridiculous. Like,
yep.
So, you know, the fact that it's not, and the fact that it's not like, I heard Nico talk about this. He was talking about how it's like asymmetric. So like, it's just insane that like it, you know,
if you have a way to bounce your opponent's land, like with Flicker Wisp, that's a pretty sweet thing you can do. Bounce your opponent's land for a turn.
So my idea, what I'm thinking, what I want to do is I want to put this in like a blue-white shell and just turn 2 Confounding Conundrum, turn 3 to Fairy, turn 4 like Jace the Mind Sculpt. You know what I mean? Just
gross,
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
and I know that you are very much so looking forward to putting this in the blue.
Oh yeah. This is blue-white taxes all over.
Yeah, I do not want to be on the opposite end of this card. I could see.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know
Pack
we're putting
your
a lot of
enchantment hate.
Card. I definitely think that like. Definitely think this could be problematic in the future. It just the opportunity cost is just, especially in a format that plays all fetch lands. So
yeah, no one likes to be wastelanded, but it seems like that's what's gonna happen here. So thank you, Wizards.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right. Well, we don't have too much more time here, but we just wanted to go over the rest of the announcements real quick because there's so much drop today. So
Wizards dropped a huge bomb on us, and they let us know all of the things that are happening for 2021, and the best thing for us, because we are a modern channel, is Modern Horizons 2 was confirmed today. We are going back to the land of Gak and all the broken things from Modern Horizons.
Yep, so Hogak reprint incoming.
I'm really glad to see that all of the bans and all those things didn't slow them down on doing Modern Horizons 2. Obviously, huge hit with all of us modern fans,
for sure,
and a lot of staples in that came from that set. So
absolutely.
And with Modern Horizons 2 came the much awaited fetch land reprint confirmation. So enemy fetches will be in Modern Horizons 2.
And they will be rare, which is important as well.
Yeah, and so, you know, hopefully the price point on these won't be too much, but as always, because it is a special set and it's not like a standard set, it's going to be a like on sale kind of thing. So get them while you can. You know, I am really excited to see what Modern Horizons 2 brings. Hopefully not more Summer of the Gak nonsense. But yeah.
Maybe just a little bit. Yeah, some exciting things there. So we've also gotten some new worlds talked about a little bit.
Wait, before you jump into that. Also, Time Spiral Remastered was announced, and they are. The special thing about this is that they are doing old borders on modern cards. So if you look online, you can find Path to Exile in the old border, and like Chalice of the Void, an old like brown artifact border. So if you're a fan of that aesthetic, more power to you. It's not really my thing, but I know that a lot of fans have been clamoring for this, so it's gonna be great for them.
Absolutely. All right, so New Worlds, we were also spoiled. So we have Kaldheim, which is going to be our Viking set that everyone's been talking about for quite some time. That should be lots of fun. Love to see Thor in Magic. We've got Strixhaven, which is not Harry Potter for Magic, and we have my personal favorite. I'm very excited for this one. D&D Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. So if you've read any of the Forgotten Realms books, some pretty classic characters in there. Very excited about that. Some characters I'd love to see.
To think that it's taken them this long to like
dip
their toes into
to
the
finally
other
have that crossover.
That they clearly own. Yeah, like it does. It definitely seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's also very and then to kind of wrap up the rest of the year, we're getting a double block of Innistrad, one focused on werewolves and one focused on vampires.
Love Innistrad. Super excited to go back there again.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that Emrakul comes out of the moon.
She's stuck there for now.
I don't know how
she's gonna go somewhere else.
I think it'll be good if they kind of leave the Eldrazi thing alone.
Yeah,
I don't know,
for a little while.
The cosmic horror thing was fun, but I think people want to go back to like just a gothic horror. So
yeah.
We'll
bring back Fricks, yeah.
I am very convinced that Kaldheim will have snow mana. I think we will be looking at.
It's gonna be a snow set.
Thank goodness Arkham's Astrolabe was banned, but I'm thinking that we will be looking at a lot of snow.
I wonder if it'll be reprinted into standard there, because it's not banned out of standard. I could see it.
Arkham's Astrolabe?
Yeah,
that's not standard. That was a Modern Horizons card.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said maybe it'll be reprinted in Kaldheim. We'll see.
I doubt it. For all of you Vorthos fans, they did say that they're going to be dropping the story online again, so
which is great. So it'll be free.
Look out for that. And one of the last, there was so much to unpack today, but then one of the very, very last things that we saw today was new Secret Lair drop.
That's right.
With some modern staples.
Indeed.
It's what is it, Caleb?
It's Yargle.
Yeah,
everyone's favorite frog demon.
Yeah. So in the Yargle pack, we're getting Opt, Fatal Push, Anger of the Gods, Explore, and Swords to Plowshares.
Which I'm not sure how any of those tie into Yargle, but great.
I really wish that it was. Path to Exile, but we can do.
Yeah,
I am very happy that we are getting a new Anger of the Gods printing. So
it does. They all look fun. If you're into Yargle, which apparently a lot of people are, then it's great. If you're into reprints.
He's actually pushing on Fatal Push, Fatal Kick. So for all of you flavor fans out there,
though I can't tell what are his hands and what are his feet. Like he's a frog. Like aren't they all just kind of feet? I don't know.
For any of you amphibian scientists, leave a comment.
Yeah, let us know. What are the frog hands called? So that's kind of the general overview of everything. There's so much dropped today. It was hard to even keep up with everything. So I'm sure we missed some things. And we'll be getting some more spoilers for Zendikar Rising coming out soon, obviously. Super excited to see what else is in the set. Please let there be more allies.
Please let them have slivers in the set.
It's not happening. There's no slivers in Zendikar.
Let's start hashtag slivers in Modern again.
Never.
Let's make slivers relevant once again.
Comment down below if you want Kyle to play slivers in Modern, because I think it'd be great.
So I think that's pretty much it. We just want to say thank you for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing. We're up to just a little bit past 130. I know that I was kind of taking a little bit of a hiatus from content. Was working on some mental health, but I'm back, and hopefully
good to have you back.
We'll have videos every week. I'm looking at doing Blue Moon deck coming up next as my next video. And Spiny, do you want to say what you are?
Yeah, so I have a new video in the works. Should be out after you see this. It should be out tomorrow. And I'm going back to kind of an older deck that I've been wanting to try out for a while. Heartless Summoning, green-black Heartless Summoning.
Ooh, yeah.
So pretty fun deck, very silly, lots of card drawing and lands and good stuff. This Nissa would have been perfect for it. So maybe I'll revisit it after Nissa comes out. But yeah, should be fun.
Also, one last thing. If you like mill, you're gonna like this set. There's a lot of sub mill cards. Got another crab. Anyways.
Yep. 8 mil.
So, but yeah, that's it from me, and I think that's it from my co-host. So
that's right. So once again, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and make sure that you have the high ground.
Bye bye, Cat Guy.